Okay, in this video, we're going to help you complete your notes. We're going to be still learning about Chanuka, and we're going to learn a few sugyot, a few units that are discussed in the Gemara. First, I wanted to show you that Chanuka does not have its own book in the Talmud, but rather is found in a Mesechet, in a book called Shabbat. It's in the second perek. And this perek is called Bameh Matlikin, which discusses what kind of oils and candles can we use for the mitzvah of Nerot Shabbat, for lighting candles for Shabbat. So being that the Gemara was discussing there lighting candles for as a mitzvah, it mentions also the story of Chanuka and the various laws that we have about Chanuka. So we're going to begin to focus on first, what is the holiday of Chanuka all about? So towards the bottom of this page, the Gemara says, My Chanuka. And you should be in page number 1 of your notes. And you have the text also on top of the page. You can follow along in the video or also in your photocopy. My Chanuka, meaning what is the event of Chanuka? What is the story of Chanuka? So the Gemara mentions a Braita, the Tanu Rabbanan. We know Tanu Rabbanan introduces a Braita, and the rabbis are going to explain. B'chav Chei Kislev, on the 25th day of Kislev, which is the month of Chanukah, is Yome de Chanukah, are the days of Chanukah, Timna Inun. These are 8 days. And the Braita continues to tell us, we can have a eulogy during Chanukah. A eulogy is that speech that is made at a funeral about the loss that relatives experience. You cannot deliver a eulogy. You make a different type of funeral when somebody, God forbid, passes away during Chanukah. But you cannot have a eulogy. Velo litanot behon, nor can you fast during those days. Meaning, if somebody wanted to fast in memory of somebody, like some people fast on the yahrzeit of a relative, one cannot do that during Chanukah, because Chanukah is a time of happiness, and having eulogies or having fast days would be inappropriate. So again, if God forbid there's a funeral, of course the funeral takes place during Chanukah, but you give a different type of speech, not a regular eulogy. Or if somebody has yahrzeit during Chanukah, they would fast after the holiday, but not during Chanukah. Now the Braita tells us the story. Because when the Yevanim, the Greeks, nichnesu, they entered the Eichal. The Eichal is the sanctuary, meaning they came to the Beit HaMikdash. Timu kol hashmanim, they made all the shmanim, all the oils, tameh, they made them impure. Shebeichal, that were in the sanctuary. The oils were used for the lighting of the menorah in the Beit HaMikdash. They were used for offerings, and they had a special area in the Beit HaMikdash where they stored oils. And the Yevanim made the oils tummy. They made it impure. They touched them and they made them impure. Ukeshegavra malchut Beit Hashmonai, when the malchut Beit Hashmonai, when the Hashmonaim were the Kohanim who became Giborim, they became stronger, and they established themselves like a government, and they nitzchum, they defeated the enemy, the Greeks. Badku, they checked, velo matzu, and they did not find ela pach echad shel shemen. They only found one pach, one container of oil, shayamunach bechotamo shel Kohen Gadol, that was still sealed with the signature of the Kohen Gadol. Meaning, in the Beit HaMikdash they had certain containers with oil, and each container had enough oil for 1 day for the menorah, and that's how they prepare it. And when they came to the Beit HaMikdash and they wanted to restart lighting the menorahs, they did every single day for centuries. They didn't find oil that was pure, so they didn't want to use that oil. Velo haya bo ela leadlik yom echad. And this one container that they found had only enough oil for 1 day, because that's how they save the oil, 1 day at a time. Naase bones, a miracle happened with that oil. Veitliku mimenu shmona yamim, and they were able to light for 8 days. This 1 day supply of oil lasted for 7 more days, for 8 days altogether. And therefore, Leshana Acheret, the following year, Kavum, they said it, they designated the time. V'asum Yamim Tovim, and they made it as a Yom Tov. A Yom Tov doesn't mean like we learn in Tanakh that it's a holiday from the Torah. It just means that they made it as a celebration. Behalel vehoda'ah, that we should say Hallel during Chanukah, and also Hoda'ah, that we say Thanksgiving. That's the Alanisim that we add to the Birchat Hamazon or to the Amidah, where we say thank you Hashem for the miracles and the kindness that you showed us during Chanukah. So this is the end of the story about Chanukah. The Gemara continues to talk about different laws that apply to the Nerot, and there's another unit that discusses the next unit that we're going to do. But at this point, you should use this information to answer the questions on your sheet. Let's take a look. Okay, so this is the same text that we just learned. It's from Masechet Shabbat. And from this text, we learn that there's a mitzvah of lighting Nerot Chanukah, and it's clearly a rabbinic commandment. This is not mentioned in the Torah. The Braita told us that Kavum, the Chachamim, they established this as a holiday, and therefore it is not one of the 613 mitzvot of the Torah. It's a rabbinic mitzvah. Yet, there's something strange. If Chanukah is a rabbinic mitzvah, when we light the Nerot, we say, Blessed are you, Hashem, who commanded us to light the Nerot Chanukah. We say, Asher Kiddisha, Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam, Blessed are you, Hashem, our God, Asher Kiddishanu v'mitzvotav, that you sanctified us, you made us holy with your commandments, Vetzivanu, and you commanded us to light Nerot Chanukah. The problem is obvious. Hashem did not command us to light Nerot Chanukah. So how can we say in the blessing that you, God, commanded us? That's the problem. So the solution to this question is the same that we have, for example, in Purim. Purim is also a rabbinic holiday, and yet when we read the Megillah, we say a similar blessing, that you, God, commanded us to read the Megillah. God didn't command us to the Megillah, so how can we say this blessing? So the answer is like this. Because there is a pasuk in Devarim that discusses the Sanhedrin, the Supreme Court of the Jewish people, which is composed of 71 Chachamim, and the Torah tells us that one of the functions of the Sanhedrin is to make rabbinic legislation. They have to make ordinances, they have to make certain laws for the Jewish people, for their improvement, for their spiritual well-being, and so on. And the Torah tells us that when the Sanhedrin makes such a law, that we have an obligation by the Torah to follow the Sanhedrin, which means that the Torah commands us to listen to the teachings of the Sanhedrin, which means that if the Sanhedrin makes a law, I have an obligation to follow that law. So therefore, if the Chachamim decide that Chanukah is a worthwhile spiritual experience for us to remember, so when I celebrate Chanukah, I'm doing the rabbinic mitzvah of Chanukah, but also ultimately I'm complying with God's requirement, which is listen to the Chachamim. And they told us to light Nerot Chanukah. So when we say in the blessing, Asher Kiddishanu v'mitzvotav etzivanu, we're referring to the fact that Hashem commanded us to listen to the Chachamim. He didn't command us to light Nerot Chanukah, but he did give us a general mitzvah of listening to the Chachamim, specifically the Sanhedrin. So therefore, the problem was, how can we say that you, God, commanded us? God didn't command us. This is a rabbinic mitzvah. The answer is because there is a mitzvah in the Torah to listen to the teachings of the Chachamim, and they told us to light the Nerot Chanukah. So therefore, we say the bracha in that way. Okay, next. You notice that these days are called Chanuka. Okay, we know. The Chanuka concerns the word Chana. The word Chana means to settle, like to settle down, or like to camp, like a machane is a camp. So Chanuka means to settle down. Some people make a mistake and they think that Chanuka means rest. It's not true. Rest is nacha is rest. Chana is to settle or to camp, to settle down. So this is a very, very interesting thing, that during Chanukah there was a conflict, like the Hashmonaim, which were the Kohanim, the family of Kohanim who rebelled against the Greek rulers. They fought against the Greeks and they defeated them. So although it was a great miracle that the few Hashmonaim who were not warriors and they were able to defeat the mighty Greeks, but we're thankful for a Chanuka was the victory of the few over the many. But Jews, we do not focus on the defeat, on the victory. That's not the big deal for us. The accomplishment is that we were once again free from the Greeks and we're able to settle down. We're able to go back to our daily lives, to the routine, to practice our values and our religion. So we're not so focused on the victory, on the defeat of the Greeks. We're more settled in the fact that out of that victory, we once gained the ability to live our normal lives. Chanuka is to settle down, that we went back to our regular lives. So that's what we celebrate. Because in Jewish tradition, there is a very, very strong feeling of not celebrating the defeat of somebody else. That's not something that we're proud of. We fight, yeah, we have to fight sometimes. And yes, we have to defeat the enemy, and sometimes we have to destroy the enemy. But that's not what we hope for. That's not our joy. Our joy is that we're able to have peace and go back to our daily lives. So therefore, Chanuka is called Chanuka, not celebration of defeat. So in this Braita, when it told the story of Chanuka, it brought out to our attention that there are two different events that we celebrate on Chanuka. Okay, so one of them is the military victory, right? The fact that the few Hashmonaim, the Kohanim, defeated the many. That's the one event. And how do we celebrate that? Well, we say Hallel, we give thanks to Hashem, and we praise Hashem, and we say Modim, we say the Halanisim prayer, right, where we give thanks to Hashem. But then there's another event. The Braita is the source of describing this miracle, that when the Hashmonaim went to the Beit HaMikdash and they were looking to restart the service of the temple, one of the things that they were trying to do is light the menorah. And they found a very small amount of oil, only for one day. And the miracle was that it lasted for 7 extra days for a total of 8. So the other event is the miracle of the oil. And how do we commemorate that? Obviously through lighting the menorah, the Chanukiah that we light is to remind us of that miracle. And finally, in this Braita, we're told the date of the holiday. The date of the holiday is the 25th day of Kislev. Okay, so this is the first unit that we're doing in this Gemara.